the perfect place. At the NRA, because that gave the UN control over our arms, and so he just took the signature back and he did it on stage. So we can play that again if you like, and I have it queued up whenever we're ready to do that. So that put me in a very good mood for today. So
it puts me in a great mood, and just to reiterate what you're saying, I think it's really powerful. So Dan is going to play the clip from President Donald Trump today speaking at the NRA. And at the NRA today, he announced that the U.S. will withdraw its support for the United Nations treaty to regulate a multi-billion-dollar global arms trade. So this is a massive, massive, massive move, because he's declaring that we will never surrender our sovereignty to some other country. And the way that this worked, it's already been implemented in places like New Zealand and Australia, where they just fabricated reasons to come and seize the weapons of the people. They're actually trying to do it right now in New York. But our sovereignty, on some level, we have the right to defend ourselves. And President Trump just struck a major blow for the entire world in this speech. So go ahead, man, you can play it.
Let's do it.
And we have shut down the previous administration's massive abuse of power, known as Operation Choke Point. Under this ill-advised program, government bureaucrats discouraged banks from making loans to gun retailers, a backdoor attack on private gun ownership that will never be allowed to happen on my watch. That's step one, folks. Step one. You know what step 2, 3, and 4 is? Step 4 is you don't have guns. You don't have any way to protect yourself. Today I'm proud to announce another historic step to protect your Second Amendment rights. And I didn't tell Chris and Wayne and Oliver, I didn't even tell them about it. So they're listening to this big room someplace and saying, I wonder what he's going to do.
Oh, it's loading. Hopefully I didn't lose the internet. It usually doesn't happen. You still there? Oh, we lost the internet.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Don't worry. No,
Okay.
I'm here. You didn't lose the internet. I muted out to make sure to focus on what he was saying.
Well, let's see what's.
So,
I'm going to step back for a moment. I'll do a reverse on my on this and get back into it. Reload and see what happens.
Well, okay. So I want to point out something that President Trump already said in this.
Today I'm proud to announce another historic step
Here we go.
to protect
Sorry.
your Second Amendment rights. And I didn't tell Chris and Wayne and Oliver, I didn't even tell them about it. So they're listening to this big room someplace and they say, I wonder what he's going to do. The good thing with me, you never know.
Who's the they that don't know?
We're making trade deals. That was something for our country. So in the last administration, President Obama signed the UN Arms Trade Treaty. And in his waning days in office, he sent the treaty to the Senate to begin the ratification process. This treaty threatened your subjugate, and you know exactly what's going on here, your rights, and your constitutional and international rules, and restrictions and regulations. Under my administration, we will never surrender American sovereignty to anyone. We will never allow foreign bureaucrats to trample on your Second Amendment freedom. And that is why my administration will never ratify the UN Arms Trade Treaty. I hope you have.
that's the first part of this, right? But this is why it was so important, right? To say that he's standing up for the Second Amendment, right? So I'll just continue. We got another 2 minutes into it.
I'm impressed. I didn't think too many of you would really know what it is. You know what it is? A big factor. But I see a couple of very happy faces in the NRA. And I am officially announcing today that the United States will be revoking the effect of America's signature from this badly misguided treatment. We're taking our signature back. The United Nations will soon receive a formal notice that America is rejecting this treaty.
He's holding up the notice.
As part of this decision, I will sign right now, in front of a lot of witnesses, a message asking the Senate to discontinue the treaty ratification process and to return the now rejected treaty right back to me in the Oval Office, where I will dispose of it. By taking these actions, we are reaffirming that American liberty is sacred and that American citizens live by American laws, not the laws of foreign countries. Thank you.
He's got the pen. He's signing.
Right. So,
They all want the pen. Can you believe this?
They all want the pen. Yeah, that would be a great pen to have.
yeah, can you imagine? I mean, that to me goes hand in hand with the letter that was given to President Trump, delivered to him directly, which was sent out by Kim and Manna Holding Trust, that released all of the debts owed by the United States to the Federal Reserve and returned the land of Washington, D.C. back to the United States and acknowledged the sovereignty of the United States. To see this, what he's saying, really is an acknowledgement of that offer having been accepted. Because he's saying, we're not going to give our sovereignty away to anyone. And that is really a profound thing, because that is essentially what is happening with the occupation of the United Nations. I mean, that's what they're doing across the board. What was your take on this, Gary?
Well, exactly. I mean, it was the way in which the UN would be able to come in during a time of emergency, and under the current constitutional laws as put into place by Obama and executive orders and everything that was set in place, they'd be able to remove weapons from people's hands. And after you have the weapons gone, they say, oh, by the way, we're suspending the Constitution. Oh, by the way, we're going to now implement a new country here. The West is going to break away from here. The Northeast is going to break away. Texas is going to break away. And then they divide up America into 5 regions. and it would basically divide and conquer. So the plan was to conquer the only independent country on the planet. Even though we were supplanted by a corporation, our spirit was still all as an American independent people. And so this was Trump taking back a very big knife that was put into our back. Pulled it right out. So I'm very excited about that.
So I want to point this out to anyone who wants to dive into why this is such a profound, profound move for every person who wants to be free and values freedom. One, a key element in the Iron Mountain Report, and you can find it on like page 28, and it extends into war scenarios and things of that nature. But if you go into that document, you'll see that what it talks about is that all of the major powers on the planet, all the major, all the major countries would have to agree to this disarmament on some level. And this is what they are calling, they consider would be the way to a peaceful pathway. Now, what they go into is the illusion that people have that war is as a result of social or political constructs. And it's the opposite. We live in a war system, not the other way around. War is the system that we actually operate according to. It's not the system that we are. We're not responding with war because of political or religious or social disagreements. The disagreements happen because the war-driven society creates the disagreements to fuel war as a social structure. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense to me. And even we covered a little bit of this yesterday about the patents that were stolen away and used, but they were weaponized by a group of people, the cabal structure, that literally would take weapons that were patents that were meant for the betterment of people and weaponize them. And so, all the structure that's put into place was to keep war going, right? Because this makes them money. So every road we take, as to where the problem lies, they say follow the money. Well, the money all leads to the banks. Yeah, there's a structure above the banks, but the structure above the banks is Kim now. So we have, was it top down, bottom up?
That's right. Kim has always said she is coming from the top down, and we are coming from the bottom up. So I always say from the roots to the fruits. Trying to get to the better aspect of what we can be. Now, I'll plug this in right here because you mentioned the banks, because I feel like this would be a good place to do a report, to do an update. The current situation is all of the banks are currently blocking funding coming in from the Pentagon. So essentially, deposits have been made successfully, so that means that they can see the registered assets with the allocation number there in the banks. It's visible. But they are not crediting the account. Crediting the account allows the money to, actually be used by contractors, by project owners, by those of us assigned to distribute these funds, things of that nature. So currently, the banks still somehow magically are holding that power to block the Pentagon. Now, what it will take, I'm not exactly sure why further action has not been taken. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, this is clear. Well, no, this is clearly an act of treason. If we are in a state of emergency, and that will require, connected to the southern border of the United States that borders Mexico, and the various illegals that are being pushed towards the United States via various United Nations propaganda being spread all throughout South America. And they're pushing these, really, for the most part, a vast majority of them are just unsuspecting or ignorant migrants, and not ignorant in an insulting way, meaning quite literally that they just don't know what's really going on. So because when you can control the information flow, you control the world. That's one of the biggest issues we have right now. That's why we're taking the time to create a show like this to influence that information flow and to get the truth out there in a more accurate way. So while this is happening, you have obvious expenses that would have come up that would be necessary for the Pentagon to be able to utilize the funds that they transferred into the banks, so they could pay for various things. They provide food and water, and for the soldiers and for the people that are there that are coming in. And there's all types of other things that would come up in that process where actually being able to utilize the funds that they have been given, that are their funds. So to block that, essentially what you are doing is you are creating further havoc. You are creating a greater state of emergency. You are weakening the United States military, and you are debilitating them from actively functioning as an entity to protect the people of the United States. This is a clear act of war. There is no question. That's very clear. Now, that's the first thing. How they have the power to do this, I really don't know. And I excuse my ignorance, I don't know. Because at some point, you would certainly think that the United States military, if they were really being, if this was happening in another country, I'm sure that we'd be dropping helicopters, right? So, people would be coming out of the skies to make sure you will not block anything from the United States military. So, I do feel that that is a plausible reality in the not so distant future, and it could very well be necessary. It might be absolutely necessary. If something like this was to happen, it would probably happen at nighttime when hardly anyone is actually at the bank. But the people are always at 24/7. They are always in the transfer room. So to get these transfers to be honored, but it would have to be an absolute takeover of those banks. Because if you think about it, this means that you have various sources and various points of access within the banks that is preventing basic business in not even remotely ethical. There is absolutely no source. There's no source that has the right to block a transfer from the Pentagon. This money that is coming in has been cleared by the Department of the Treasury. This money that's coming in has been cleared by Homeland Security. It's been cleared by the Bank of International Settlements, the Bank of London, every treasury in the world, every government in the world. So what authority does someone like Wells Fargo, the notoriously corrupt bank, what in the world are they thinking that in what possible scenario would they have the right to block funds from the Pentagon? Nevertheless, that is what's currently happening. It is a tragedy, in my opinion, and it really is making a mockery of the entire structure and even the military, and all of us, by the way. So that is a very sad state of affairs. That being said, there was also 3 people that were identified at the U.S. Treasury who were the primary sources that were blocking funds. And I know that one of them was Steve Mnuchin. I would suspect the other 2 that were released were probably the other 2, but I don't know. His advisors or whatever they were. But the last I heard was Steve Mnuchin is on the run, and he is, in the wind, so to speak. No one can find him. And so that scenario is taking place, and there's many at the Treasury. Now, there's some that are helping us directly, but there's many at the Treasury that are waking up to realize they've lied to. We need that to happen in full force. If you are listening from the Treasury, you have been lied to, and you are currently supporting a treasonous Secretary of the Treasury who seeks to implement the genocidal reset, where it is a massive depopulation agenda that takes away the sovereignty of the United States. And that's what President Trump just addressed, that no one will take the sovereignty of the United States. So about, Steve Mnuchin, and now they finally want to take very serious action against Steve Mnuchin. And when I first heard that, I thought, oh, wow, even Congress is going to over on our side. But the reality is, Congress is finally fighting to get rid of Steve Mnuchin because Steve Mnuchin has been saying over and over again, the RV is going to happen and he's going to bring the funds down for the RV. And so now they want to take him out because he has not produced. So unfortunately, it would seem that a good portion of Congress is still committed to a system that either they knowingly realize this is a genocidal agenda and they don't care, or they don't realize that's what it is and they're included in it. But, so that's the current state of affairs. So anybody listening from the government, if you happen to work in their offices or the Congress, you can take a stand and say, hey, I am not pro-American genocide. I'm not pro-Earth genocide. I feel like that's something, it's one of those things, those easy things we can all get behind. Hey, how many of us are not for genocide, right? Like, that's a pretty easy stance to take, right?
You would think so.
Especially when...
You would think so. But
you would think so. You feel like we all unite on, not wiping out the whole population of the planet. I mean, I feel like that's a no-brainer.
Let me just put something in perspective, right? Because you would think that is the case. But here's another one. If someone was to ask you, how many genders are there? Would you have a problem answering?
No, I would not have a problem.
Yeah. Well, I watched a video where the guy went into a gay pride parade and he's just interviewing people, and he was asking that question. He went through like a dozen people. Only one, this very tall guy with wearing like rainbow suspenders and no shirt, right? And kind of a like a rainbow and anyway, but he had a hat on it. But he obviously was gay. But he said, "Wasn't it obvious? There's two." Right? But he was older. He was probably in his 50s, right? But all the other people had a problem answering because of this psyop that's been done on this segment of the population, that they can't even answer a simple question as how many genders. It's very obvious, but not to them. So in the same way, you could say, would you be supportive of genocide of 90% of the population? There's going to be a group out there that say, yeah, we're really bad, humanity's bad, we're causing the destruction of the planet, we're going to all be dead anyway, so we got to get rid of 90%. There's that segment of the people out there that are in that bubble that think that that's the correct way.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, so...
Now that's an amazing, and you know what, and Bill Gates has been up publicly speaking at the TED Talks, right? The TED Talks is such a tragedy to me. I always had a dream of speaking at the TED Talks, right? Then when I finally got to a position where I thought, my very dear friend David Hayden spoke at the TED Talks, but I realized that they're completely corrupted, right? It was supposed to be this venue of the world's most innovative minds getting up and sharing their ideas, on how to change the world. And it ended up being this propaganda machine, and you have to abide by all these rules. So they're supporting the United Nations agenda, which, and so Bill Gates gets up to speak, and what did he talk about? But, how to depopulate the earth, right? And everybody gets behind it. They're also the ones that are leading the way in pedophilia being a common, an acceptable sexual practice, that we should all accept it. Now, these things are just not true, right? They're just not true. Pedophilia is no more a regular sexual orientation than it is normal to be born with, a communicable disease, right? If you have a disease that hurts other people, right, and you have to have that suppressed so that it doesn't hurt other people. Any other disease you would manage. Now, if pedophilia, even if it is a natural sexual instinct, it's a perversion because it hurts humanity, right? It hurts children. That cannot be allowed. That hurts all of us. That cannot be allowed or to be made acceptable. Well, would you have communities of pedophiles? What's going to happen? They're going to get kids and go in there? There's no acceptable way for that to exist in our society. Now, that's why it's been a secret.
Right.
In these same
Lindsey Graham saying that they're going to, that under the Eric Holder said that they're going to normalize 12 perversions. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. This was he literally came out and said this is what's going on. And this is Eric Holder. He said, okay, we're gonna legalize 12. He didn't list them, the perversions, but if I start listing past 4, I'm starting to scratch my head. Well, but this is their overall goal, is to basically dehumanize us. So anything that's meant to be human is then questionable. The Overton window has been stretched out so far that it actually busts, and then they can recreate humanity into transhumanism and take over, because people are just going to be robots, right? And mind controlled and to the point where there's not even any organic matter left. We just, phased out of existence.
Which is exactly how you would enslave a society, right? They were talking about this with the testing too many years. I guess it was before Reagan's administration when they started to introduce standardized testing, and before that, they were saying that we were producing too many, genius level people, and people were starting to wake up and figure things out, and, all this stuff. So that's why they implemented this program. I think it was a CIA program, and into the regular education system to dumb down the people, right? Because we were getting too smart, right? And you can see a marked difference when you read things from the 30s, 40s, 50s. How well spoken everybody was. Everybody knew how to had excellent penmanship, and they wrote. And the things they wrote were so intelligent,
right.
And the words they used, we have to look up half the words because we don't speak like that anymore because we've lost that aspect of our history and of our culture where we think it's normal, right? So now we have a language like they had in like Clockwork Orange, right? Like we speak in emojis and various things, and we've lost the power of language of speaking appropriately. So it's a pretty amazing time. So now, also in Trump's speech, so he says we're not going to give up our sovereignty. He denounces this. Now he was talking about the choke point agreement, right?
Right.
And basically that agreement, is an extension of post 9/11 kind of stuff where they could just make all types of things. But basically, it set it up so banks wouldn't do business, or they would only be allowed to approve a very limited amount of certain types of business that they thought were high risk, right? Now, this goes back to the meritocracy, right? So they've been implementing their meritocracy, but through laws like this. And this is what the United Nations is very much a meritocracy type of enforcement, right? They're taking this idea of forcing peace, right? So they call them peacekeepers, but why if you're peacekeepers, why do you have this formidable military, right? Why do you have the right to come in and take over our military? Now, they don't anymore, by the way, but that's how it was designed. But listen to the things that they were identifying in this choke point agreement, right? So ammunition sales, cable box descramblers, coin dealers, credit card schemes, credit repair services, dating services, debt consolidation scams. So these are all things they want to control. Drug paraphernalia, escort services, firearm sales, fireworks sales, get-rich products, because the last thing they want is for us to get rich. Government grants, home-based charities, lifetime guarantees, lifetime memberships, lottery sales, mailing lists, personal info, money transfer networks, online gambling, pawn shops, payday loans, pharmaceutical sales, Ponzi schemes, pornography, pyramid-type sales, racist materials, surveillance equipment, telemarketing, tobacco sales, travel clubs, right? So all of these things, if you just were to take those point by point, they show how they literally have been targeted. Now that expired in August of 2017, but that system was designed to control the distribution things, right? And limit the human interaction or the natural innovation that we would bring to it, right?
Right.
The ideas. Now, some of those things, like we don't need any more innovative pornography per se, right? But but some of the things in there, like travel, like why would that be such an issue, right? Like, but I guess they made it an issue, right? And they want to control the drug paraphernalia. Well, there's all types. That's a big category of things, right? That goes out there. And get rich products. Like, what does that mean? Like anything that implies that you can use the system to get. But these things are everywhere, right? They're on
Right.
YouTube all the time.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself, where are they coming from? They're giving you one method to use over and over again.
Let me interject something here. There's a core aspect of what money is that it is a medium of exchange. And what a medium of exchange means is that I've got something that I can exchange with you, right? That everyone agrees upon. Now, if that is then impeded in any way, it is no longer a medium of exchange. So we no longer have what we can call money. If you want to say it's relegated to currency, and currency is now restricted, it's not money. We need a medium of exchange that we're able to do things, even if other people disapprove of what we're doing with our money, we should have the ability to do it. Giving the control over the currency to someone to such an extent that they can basically create a choke point means that we don't have money, right? It is just a control system. And we need to have money in order for us to have wealth. If we don't have money, and we only have currency, then we can't have wealth. Anyway, so I didn't want to let that go without pointing this out. It's such a core principle of the difference is that we really need to have an unimpeded medium of exchange. Otherwise, tyranny will always rise.
Now that's why what's happening right now is such a drastic shift in everything taking place in the world today. That's why I keep saying that we are, Thomas on the THI show, Thomas Williams, and and I've been given this authority as well to work with Kim. If you are not talking about Kimberly and Gogan, if you are not talking about the Manna World Trust, you are missing the biggest aspect, the driving force behind everything that's taking place. This is a battle now, and I don't want to reinforce the war side of this, right? But this is a battle for the hearts and the minds of people, and they don't care about you being empowered, to really express yourself in the fullness of your being. They care about controlling you. So you have this option that's on the table. And this option on the table right now is what you have the option on the table right now is that humanity can be free right now, and you have banks that are standing in the way currently, right? Now it's generic in a sense, right? We say banks because I'm sure it's not your local retail banker. It probably doesn't have anything to do with this or have anything, so I don't want you to go in belligerent to your bank or anything. But it is somewhere in the banking institution that is blocking our progress, right? And what they're doing is, the reason why is because when this money comes in, there hasn't been allocation numbers that are registered to the Treasury that even show up on the financial system for a long time. So when this money comes in, it looks different than what they're used to because 80% of the money has been counterfeit. Now, the only way you can counterfeit 80% of the money is if you don't show the allocation numbers. Because if you show the allocation numbers, the system would naturally pick up, wait, these are duplicates. So therefore, either the ones you're holding or the ones that just came in are counterfeit. So they eliminate that from the system, so you can't see it. So now when real money comes in, that money would be universally recognized, right? Because that's backed by real assets, because it's attached to an asset and it's registered with the Treasury. So when that comes in, it completely dismantles their entire system. So anybody I'm always trying to get this message to them. Anybody in those systems who thinks you're doing something righteous by supporting, the blocking of the Pentagon funds, right, which are coming in now from the Manna World Holding Trust, and they're designated for various project owners, and I'm sure other things as well. You're not doing a service, and not only that, but you have the power to allow those funds to credit to these accounts, and in doing that, you change the whole world. The entire world literally changes in an instant, because the entire system can flourish from that point on, because now we can get money to real people who are going to go spend the money and do amazing things, and that's what the world is we're trying to create, right? That we are in the process of manifesting as we speak. And that's a battle we've already won. There's no chance anyone else is going to win that war, because all of the weight, all the strength, all the evil conditioning and fear mongering that they had the power to just throw around, it's all gone. They don't have it anymore. They don't have it anymore. Even though it seems that way because we haven't broken through, it's just a matter of time, and time is just an illusion that postpones things that have already occurred. So this is done. Now, let me tell you this too, Dan. I was thinking about this. So there's some people in the world of the RV, and they were sharing that in the world of the RV, they were saying that some of these people are seers, remote viewers, and they have a whole other galactic life in the fourth dimension like that. And they said that they had gone to every timeline, and there was an RV on every timeline, right? So they knew the RV was going to happen, and they were getting mad about that, right? So if you consider the reality and why this is really, really important to everything we're doing, the RV, in the sense of a revaluation. So I'm going to give you something to sink your teeth into for people out there who are still brokenhearted about that. The true revaluation is you having a value for yourself and revaluing yourself, right? Now, that speaks to what President Trump just said when he said we're taking our signature back. Now, when you realize that you are the wealth and the asset that is back in this entire world system, then you have a new value for yourself, so you can revalue. Now, that I can support. As far as the currencies that people hold, revaluing, and then that money flooding into the planet, and everybody getting all this money, for a couple days before the economy crashes. I know it seems like that won't happen. I know it seems like, no, it'll be backed by assets. But it won't be backed by assets because it's not possible. Because all of the assets are registered to the Manna World Holding Trust. And the Manna World Holding Trust, the trustee of that, the comptroller, the custodian, all the same person, she will not allow that to happen because she knows it'll crash the economy. And she's not doing that to force people to suffer. She's doing that because that is what changes the world. And that's why this timeline that we have created because of her taking a stand, it empowers people to go change the world. And that's the difference. That's the key difference. One creates the illusion that you're going to be able to change the world, and it's a trap. But the one where we actually change the world into a place where we thrive, that's the one we're on now. And you don't have to stay on this timeline. You can go and be on the RV timeline if you want and pursue that. If you want to continue down that path, you are more than welcome. But, if you are part of the whole anti-genocide team like we are, we're anti-genocide. If you want to be part of that team, this is the path. So, Dan, you there?
I'm here. I'm just letting you.
Okay.
I got a lot of things going on. One, I'm recognizing a state of war. Right. We are at a war footing. That there are battles being fought. Some of them are in the shadows, and some of them are out front. There are missiles fired at Air Force One. There are Trump taking signatures back from the UN. These are different battles that are going on. Some of these things are mostly invisible to people across the world, as it is in most wars. not everyone knows what's going on, and all they have to rely on is newspapers, right? But now we have the internet, and we have alternative media, and we have QAnon, we have all this other information flooding in. And that's why, also the amount of things that are going on that are being revealed behind the scenes are in such depth and also such horror that is existing there that we don't want to even accept it. We don't want to bring it into our reality to recognize it's existing elsewhere in the world. But we are on a new timeline. We are in a position where we've changed this whole dynamic of how things are going to unfold. So there is a matter of having the steps in front of us that we must take, these small battles, to make efforts. I keep saying, share this link, share this video, give likes and make comments, subscribe. It's so important. It's more important than you can even know, that these small actions that you take make a big difference in the reach of the words coming out, because this is how the new reality manifests. The more people that are online, the more people in the banks that hear our words that are now getting it, and they say, "Oh yeah, well, I don't want to be on that side. They haven't been really kind to me. They have been actually very threatening to me. And this side over here wants to give me money for projects that I want to do for myself. And they're going to give me all the money back, and I'll be sovereign." They're hearing the words. If you make these small steps to pass a link out, it makes a big impact on the people that are actually sitting at a terminal and wondering whether or not to let it be credited from it's from the Pentagon. Obviously, I let it through. Their grasp on this is weakening. Right, we're winning these battles. Right, and we have to take this to the next level and push out. That's why we expand out to blog talk radio. Right, that's why
That's right.
We make other steps. Where we go, all.love website. I'm pushing it ahead. It's looking much better. It hasn't been uploaded yet, so it's still the template that's sitting out there. So don't go there yet. Maybe by Monday. But these steps are just to push a little bit further out, right? And it makes a big impact when you take small actions, participate in what we're doing, make your own YouTube channel. It's very easy, so simple. I even give lessons on it. Just contact me if you're interested. I'll help you. So these things are happening right now with what we just listened to with Trump and what these actions. This is taking back our sovereignty that was already given to the UN. This is happening across the board.
That's amazing. Now, what I was thinking about this, Dan, is in this giving our sovereignty right now, this was signed over with the gun laws, the disarmament, right, which was part of the Iron Mountain agenda to disarm the people, right? And this has been the plan, right? They always stick to their plan. And some of the other aspects, right, is you have to reduce the population, right? That's part of the agenda. And enslave the rest, right? Slavery is acceptable, right? But they use public slavery, right, to make it, that it'll be sustainable so that we'll willingly make ourselves slaves. And, organizations like the FDA has no power. The FDA really should not dictate what we're doing with our food or our drugs. So how are they able to do that? Well, because they're a corporation and they've operated under corporate guidelines. The IRS, they've done away with the original body that's writing taxes. I can't remember what it's called, but it's not the IRS. But it doesn't have that power, and that's why when you look at your tax forms, it starts with the letter B instead of the letter A, because the letter A says they can only take income contacts from you. Right? Now, these are all things we can just make common knowledge to where we say, wait a minute, how dare this group come to my home, right? And say that they're going to give me an audit when they don't even have the authority because I'm not a government employee.
Well, we've got a very powerful technology at hand. The internet and the mobile devices actually can be used as our weapons against them. In this way, not only are we talking about YouTube and social networking, but literally being able to take action when something is happening, so that you have an agency at the door, press a button, and have our legal team at the ready to answer the door for you. Here, you interface with this. This is the legal situation, and you come back and we'll figure this out. You have a warrant, or here, let's see your oath of office. Because you don't have an oath of office, you can't come in here. So, and then everything's recorded if they decide to bust in, and then you take other action. So we have the ability to create these tools to make it easy for the people that. There's so much knowledge out there, and so makes it so difficult that we can make it push button, tap and tap.
Yes, we can. I'll tell you, I would still love for somebody who knows an app developer. I have a $1 million idea. I mean, more than that. Is to take this. I want to have an app that you can have a device for it, put it on your dashboard of your car, and when you get pulled over, you press that button, and you turn the lights on in your car. And it immediately starts broadcasting live. And as it broadcasts live, and the police officer comes up to your car, you can even have press a button and have it say, I do not consent to being pulled over. I suppose probably say, I do not contract with you, and I would like to see your oath of office to confirm that you are in fact a police officer and you have the right to pull me over in the first place. And it will broadcast the whole thing live, because you know what? The best in this, I know what they've told you, is that you got to keep their secrets, right? That was a big thing with the RV. When I started putting out intel from both sides, now that was recommended to me by General Dunford. He told me to put out both sides of the intel to force them, to show what they were doing. So what I did was I would get intel from all different places, and it would never match up quite right, and I would usually decide which one I wanted to share. But what I started to do was I started to put all the intel out, share both sides of it, so that I could show, look, there's discrepancies here, don't match up. What are they doing? Why are they still lying to us? Right? And what they would do is each group would keep their secrets, right? So when you get intel, it'd be like, look, this is a big deal. Nobody knows this, right? Like, you're in the know, right? And, I get intel from sometimes from very high sources, sometimes from soccer moms in Idaho, right? So, if you were a soccer mom in Idaho, I said, look, you did not get the military procedures on what the special ops team is doing. I'm sorry, you did not get that. That intel is not accurate, right? But the point is being public, staying public, and making it so you can't deny, because it's a public record. You can't deny what happened because everybody saw it, and it was recorded live, and there's documents that you can go and you can find it. Now, I'll be more than happy to, help set that up, share the idea, put it out there, make it work. I just don't want it to be, snatched up by somebody who's trying to control everyone, right? Well, that's what the alternative is, something else, right?
You can always make another app that's going to do it. No, I wouldn't worry about that. I would just say I'll add to it. What about a camera that is attached to the side windows of your cars that are literally just have a solar panel on one side? That's not big, just it's about a 2-inch square. It's a solar panel, but on the other side is a camera and a microphone that's attached to the glass. So the microphone is actually using the glass as a way to communicate back and forth through the glass. And then as soon as you hit that app on your phone, that starts recording. And it also allows you to talk through the glass. You don't have to roll on your window. You can have a conversation.
There's a million ways to add to it, and I'm sure somebody can make a lot of money with it. There's nothing wrong with making money. I think it's a great idea. And I think that's, there's all types of great things you can do with it. All types of add-ons you're gonna have to something like that. Personally, what I care about is, what we need to start. The people need to have a reverse governing system to hold the government accountable to do their job. Period. Because they don't do their job. They're not enforcing laws. Because if they were enforcing laws, we would have money in our accounts right now, and projects would be flourishing all over the world. But because the United Nations is in the midst of their depopulation agenda, and they're desperately trying to take over the world, and they failed to reach their goal by 2012, it took 5 more years to continue their agenda. So they're 5 years deeper. So we're making up for lost time. So it's going to require as many people to get active and start doing as humanly possible. Because it's not hard to overcome them because of our numbers.
So they've already failed.
Percentage.
They've already failed, and they were given an extension 5 more years. Who gave the extension?
Well, the extension wasn't really an extension to keep their world domination plan going. The extension was to return the assets to the people. But what they did was they used it. They obviously didn't return anything to the people, and they just continued to try to take over.
Okay. So I got it now. But
they're not. Yeah, go ahead.
So that extension, brought them to the point where they again they were not successful. This just shows that they failed. That what their reality, what they were trying to make happen, has failed. It's not going to succeed. Things are going farther and farther away from them. The sooner that people realize that has already failed, that it's already now years past their extension of 5 years to get to do it. So now we're additional 2 years into it. It's now time for people that have been waiting for this RV to realize, hey, it's not going to happen because they no longer even have access to the asset. They can't do it now.
So the only option would be for them to cause a global disaster, an economic failure, thus leading to other global disasters, impose martial law again, have the United Nations take over. This is what they want to do. Have the United Nations take over all the militaries, bring the world under one world government, execute massive genocide to bring the population down to a manageable number, and then introduce turn all of the currency into digital cryptocurrency. And you know what? By the way, just to back up what Michelle McMillan was saying earlier this week, and she was talking about how they're taking your DNA. Mm-hmm. There's a crypto coin out there that registers your DNA, and your DNA becomes the asset. So you want to talk about something scary? That your DNA becomes the actual body that's funding something, because they own you, right? Then they can do whatever they want with you. They can reproduce you, and they can all types of things because we opted into a program like that. So everybody who's thinks that I like, not to say there's not a decentralized value, but the cryptocurrency is designed to take control of the world. That's what they're designing. So Dan, I think we should open up the lines and let people call in. Sure. And see if anybody has any questions. So the number to call in, if anybody would like to ask questions or has something valuable they want to share, is 646-721-9771. That's 646-721-9771. And I've got a caller on right now. We'll bring on. It's 919 is here. 919, North Carolina. You there? Hello? I guess 919 is not really there. They're just listening.
Well, right. By the way, I actually did send the link to Tui, so he can jump on.
Okay. Okay. Well.
So who's next?
So.
Do you have another one?
Well, we'll see. No, people will be calling in shortly. I just gave out the number, so if anybody wants to call in and ask questions, you're more than welcome to call in. Now
so just so you know, while we're talking, I'm sharing the screen of the Speak Project, radio, Blog Talk Radio, and it shows the phone number and also the link, and also the time remaining.
Very helpful.
All right, so it's been. I turn it on and I turn it off. If I'm speaking or I want to show the TV, or something, then I switch it back and forth so people can grab that if they want to do a call in. So it's good to let people know that I'm doing that also, so they say, oh, that's what the link is for. Oh, that's what that phone number is for. Yeah. So right now I'm sharing the screen now. It shows the 646-721-9771 number. And then the link down below is if you want to log in via computer. So you just would put in tobtr.com/11308363. And I'll get that radio announcer voice going soon. Reading off the number. So anyway, we've had a lot going this week anyway with everything that's happened. I'm just another week going by, and we just see that this is steamrolling faster and faster, this new timeline. So we've already gotten to the point where we see that the offense has taken place. Offensive move, rather, not the offensive. The offensive moves have now taken place, and we're taking action. Doing the Blog Talk Radio is part of that, right? We expand what we're doing so that you can also expand what you're doing. So you can maybe now be able to call in. So that's why the numbers are available for you to do that, or to even call in by way of the link. Of course, if you're on YouTube and wanting to do a chat, we can also read the questions to the chat. If you're in the YouTube channel in the super chat, just put Q and then the question right afterwards. Actually, I'll go take a look.
Hey, Dan, we got somebody queued up, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Somebody queued up right now. So 619, do you have something you want to say?
Also, your audio is a little bit light.
Frank, is that me? 619? Yes, Robert. Yep,
Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Okay, so Trump was given a letter by Kim to get back our sovereignty in the country, right? A year ago? Okay, so when he signed the sovereignty, breaking the Obama signature stuff, that gave the whole country back sovereignty again. But we still have to figure out some way to create a format that people can sign and take back their signatures? That's a question. Not necessarily. We just don't have the information on it at the time. Okay, so that's the one.
Hey, Tank, your volume is a bit low.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to talk much for the next 10 minutes, but technical fixing. So.
But you're fading in and out, but it's louder and softer, so okay.
Yeah, I have technical difficulties I'm working out. So I'll leave 10 minutes, so we'll make sure that you can talk, the callers can talk.
Yeah, always keep bubble gum and Scotch tape on hand.
Always need Scotch tape.
Well, you can use duct tape too, but
the gray tape.
Well, Robert, any other questions?
Yeah, a question about all right. So, like I heard, they have Chewy was saying they have a new terminal in Fiji that Kim can work funds through. Are they going to do something like that possibly here in the U.S.?
Well, okay. Let me say that TUI is just kind of starting to line up things, having conversations with the central bank people, the other people in government. But what they've arranged so far is not the terminal that we're thinking about in regards to this government level or financial institution level terminal. And this is something that's different. That is different than what I think TUI has already said. He's working with a local bank to let them know that he's going to accept that he's going to have a larger amount of money coming through. That's would be like at the teller level, but it would still have to get through a government level terminal first.
Okay.
Right. So there's a little bit of confusion about that, and it's also a lot of people don't know that there's a different system that is taking asset and turning it to available cash by creating an allocation number. That's not a normal everyday banking procedure. This is more government level stuff, or large financial institutions, or like the Pentagon, right? So they're able to take an allocation number and change it into cash in the system.
Understandable. Okay, so there's a lot of people in the United States that are on, let's say, they're disabled or they're on their senior citizens. I understand that Kim was saying most of the Social Security stuff that got out a year ago. So those of us that have cash on hand, should we spend that money now, or should we hold on to it, and will it be transferred over to the other asset money? Are they going to print the money in the United States? I'm concerned about the United States more right now than anywhere else, because these questions are ones that are coming up. There's no need to create the U.S. dollars that currently exist are all allocated and asset backed. So there's no need to create a digital USN. The USN is just another cryptocurrency. The TRNs are just another cryptocurrency, which essentially gives our power and control over these banks and allows them to be the regulatory authority on all matters pertaining to finance. So that would essentially mean everything runs on money, so we're not going to do that. So the U.S. dollars that are out there, that's why Kim has been draining the system, so that you're draining out the counterfeit money. Now, so what did happen is that the order, they tried to launch the Hercules system back in September, and when they did, they convinced all of the banks to give them their remaining liquidity. So they took their remaining liquidity, they put it into the Hercules system, and when that happened, those allocation numbers are already in the system because so much of the money was counterfeit. So they have not been able to bring money back into the system. So that money has already been drained out. So when Kim introduces it, she'll do it in a way that people won't lose their savings and things of that nature. Okay. So that won't be and then my last question. Like I said, there are a lot of people on Social Security and disability. Those people are concerned, like, how will they function? Is that just to continue to be paid out so they work all that stuff out later? Yeah, everything that Kim has done has been designed to ensure kind of transition without disrupting current people, right? Kim has to operate by natural laws of do no harm. So she has to abide by those things, and she's very, very diligent about that. Because on many occasions I made suggestions that were a little radical, and she might give it up to many people, right? So she won't guys and definitely like shut the whole thing down. Until okay. All right, that answers the question. That answers the question. Those are the concerns that people think off right off the bat. And I just wanted to get you guys to answer directly so that either I could explain it to them or they could hear it from you. And I think that sufficiently answers it for anybody who has this question. Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll let you guys get back to your conversation. Great show.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Yeah. So, Tank, your line is really, really bad. So I don't know what you can do to fix that.
You go ahead. Thank you. Your line is really, really bad.
Someone is online. Is Robert? Robert, you're still online? Or you have to mute him.
Who currently owns Wells Fargo? Who currently owns Wells out many people that were working there previously. They were sold back from the trust. The trust still has control of the master accounts for that. But the Animal Trust sold Wells Fargo back to the United States government for $1, and they sold it back as a failed asset because they were something like 400% negative liquidity. Wow. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. This caller is 30. Yes, 308. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Janet Ruby.
Oh, hey Janet. Do you have a question right now? I'll wait a moment. Chime in, okay?
Your secret, your first ever.
Okay.
With all of this that's going on, do we have to wait to get our trust set up and everything until Kim can actually get the funds through? I mean, I know people that have their trust set up.
Then why ask that question? Obviously, if you know people who've already set up their trust, why would you? Obviously, we were already making the trust, giving them out. Why would you ask if we have to wait? Is there
I
something
thought
else you have to do?
the second batch of us would have to wait or something. I'm asking.
No. I mean, yeah. I'm just telling. Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, we're already on to the third, fourth batches. You know, the trusts are getting done. Yokoyama Legal has been working very hard with RS, Jason, and Nitra. They've been doing wonderful work for virtually nothing, and I can't say enough how much I appreciate that, and that they keep this whole thing going. No, Jenny, you don't have to wait. When they're done, the only thing you have to wait for is that we can't give you a $5,000 trust for $100 and have everything be done, lickety split. It just takes longer. That's all. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
But the trust, when you get it, we're going to make sure it's excellent. And the goal would be able to set up everyone's trust underneath the umbrella of the Guardian of Camelot. So everyone would be under an unincorporated tax-exempt association would be the goal. And then all of those accounts would be held in the same bank, ideally. And then when we disperse funds to those accounts, we are the governing body, so they can't stop you from receiving because we are the grantor, is the goal, right? So that way, there's no more blockages because everything is an internal transfer. So we automatically have clearance. They can't say, well, Janet's never had this much money, which is what they do, by the way. Because if you've never had more than $10,000 in your bank account, we go to put $1 million in there, and they hold it indefinitely, right? And they justify it based on some bank secrecy act or something like that. So we want to avoid that. So we set it up so that everybody that receives money from us, ideally, when we bring it in under the same account, the same bank, that we're the grantor. One of our lawyers will be one of your trustees so that they can set up the account for you, and then that'll be handed over based on the structure that you desire. But the whole goal is not for us to control anyone's money, because once we give you the grant money, we can't say what you do with it. But the goal is to make sure that you get it, to make sure that you can use the money, right? Because you're going to have a lot of people with SKRs at Wells Fargo, right? They have SKRs, they can see there was money, but they can never move it, right? So it's just a mirror. So we want to avoid that, okay?
Right. I am so glad you explained that. I was really curious about that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, dear. Talk to you soon. See you.
Yep, bye.
All right. 517. You are live.
Hi.
Thank you, Dan.
My name is Josh. I'm a tech director for a human rights organization. And right now, I was pointed towards your direction because I was told that you guys have people in the intelligence community that might be able to help out with my situation.
Oh yeah, we were talking on Telegram, right?
Yes, we were.
Okay. Glad you made it on.
Yeah. So basically, what we're doing is we're helping out target individuals, people who are being attacked by government mind control, and I have a team of about 20 people right now who are like ex-NSA, ex-CIA, we have an ex-CIA scientist named Robert Duncan, and Derek Robertson, who's ex-NSA, Karen Stewart, who's ex-NSA, and right now we are trying to basically stop these frequencies that are harming and maiming and killing people. And we have like a land project that we have going on right now. We're getting land in Arizona for all the homeless people that are being tortured and doxxed every day. And it seemed like you knew a little bit about the technology being used. Do you have anyone in the community that would be able to assist with this matter?
Yes. I have lots of people in the community and in that world that can assist with what you're doing. I think this is a much larger issue than you might realize. So I'm not, but I could be wrong. So excuse me. I don't mean to demean what you're saying anyway. So can I ask you some questions? Is that okay? You're not like under any confidentiality agreements or anything?
You can ask me questions. Sure.
Sure. Okay. So Josh, you're talking about frequencies that are being broadcast out, and that various individuals who have served in some capacity, whether intelligence agencies or military, or were just brought up in the system this way, that are causing a reaction in reference to kind of MK Ultra or mind control, various experiments, Alice in Wonderland programs that existed in these various intelligence agencies. Is that right?
Correct. So basically, the voice of God weapon, B2K, remote neural monitoring, remote torture, no-touch torture program, which Julian Assange has been in for a while. His dad just stated that recently on TV.
Okay. So, I am familiar with most of those. Some of those not as familiar. But for anybody not familiar with those things, I would love to let's talk about those things a little bit, if you don't mind, Josh, because I think those are very real programs. Those are very real technologies. You know, the Voice of God satellite. For anybody who's not familiar with that, you know, this is literally when people believe that they've spoken to God. Oftentimes, it is literally a satellite that broadcasts at a very specific frequency and sends out messages and targets people that are tuned into that frequency. Some by design, some naturally. And I've watched people completely melt down who are communicating that way. But Josh, can you expound on some of those things? You know, because I'm certain you have a greater knowledge about these things than I do.
Yeah,
this is your focus.
You can check out a lot of my research. I haven't posted anything in about 3 months, but on harassmenttaskforce.com. And the problem that I've been encountering with my research is there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I have a certain budget to buy spectrum analysis equipment to locate these frequencies, but there's thousands of frequencies out there on the spectrum. So in order to like classify them and locate them, and to get in certain ranges, some of the equipment goes up to $100,000. You know, so to give an example, if you go to like YouTube and you type V2K Tom Lee, he was a communications engineer and a satellite engineer, electronics engineer for about 40 years, and he's been targeted for 30 of those years. And he's actually able to record the voices that are being beamed onto his head. Basically, what they do is they harass you nonstop, 24/7. It's like people harassing you, and this is done via satellite. You can pick this up with like an EMF meter. If you put it up to your head, it will pick it up.
Yep.
So that's one form. Another form of the V2K is remote influencing, and that's where they put thoughts into your head. So it's actually like they're thinking for you, and unless you know what's going on, it can be very dangerous. You know, people put thoughts into your head, right? So there's other technology with a throat implant. Melanie Brashan She's over in the UK. She's the only one that's ever got one removed. And about 50% of the people being targeted have these throat implants. And what it does is it reads your verbal and non-verbal speech. So basically, it reads your thoughts.
Wait. I'm sorry. What was the percentage you said?
About 50%. It's actually like 52%. We have thousands of targets in our network. I have a federal prosecutor that works in our network as well that's helping us. We have lawyers and stuff, and they're constantly interviewing targets, and we send out surveys to them. And it's like 52% are being remote neuro monitored. Then they send on lower frequencies on like the ELF range, certain frequencies to cause pain. And we found in different reactions and stuff. If you look at the declassified documents from the Freedom of Information Act that came out in 2016, I believe, it lists a lot of those frequencies on there. And that chart will list them too. That comes in there. It's called EMF something on the human body.zip. I believe not the NSA, but one of those facilities that monitor people, Fusion Center, that's what it was. Accidentally sent that on a Freedom of Information request. But there's things like it can make your back vibrate, like feel like an earthquake, which they've done to me. But the big things that they do is the torture signal, where they're beaming you in the head constantly. We believe that's from 40 to 50 gigahertz. And we believe that V2K is, in Tom Lee's video where he states, he lists all the satellites, that's from 50 hertz to 5 kilohertz. But the reason why that one is really annoying is it's such a low frequency that it can go through anything. Let's say if you're at like 120 kilohertz, the wavelength is about 50 feet long, right? And if you're like up in 50 gigahertz, your wavelength, it's millimeter wave, so it's like a millimeter thick. So it gets absorbed by things that are millimeter thickness. So this low frequency can basically go through anything. It goes through water. It's how they communicate with submarines.
It goes through
the mountains. So no one can hide from it. You can't shield it. Yeah.
Now, Josh, in your experience, are all of these frequencies and the people that are being targeted specifically, is this attached to some type of implant in all the cases, or is it in some cases just because they're there's nanites that are being activated at some level, just microscopic robotic stuff?
There are people who have, so there's 4 people who do scans, right? 2 of them are actually technical surveillance countermeasure experts, and they use a device called a nonlinear junction detector. And what this device does is it scans for electronics that are turned off. To give you an example, there's a device called a retroreflector. The first one ever found was the Great Seal bug, where the Russians gave the U.S. Embassy this U.S. seal that they put in there, and it's basically illuminated remotely through wireless energy, and it's like a microphone, and it's pretty much just a wire. So basically, this nonlinear junction detector, what that can do is it can scan for diodes or electronic components that are turned off, and we've found 12 to 8 implants usually on people, what we call a body area network, with this nonlinear junction detector.
Okay, so that is, and now I guess the reason why I'm asking is we do have access to a technology that in all likelihood can disable these devices and make it so the frequencies being broadcast out won't activate them the way they currently are. So that is what, just off the top of my head, by the way, that I know of. Actually, I have 2 different, they're not experimental. I know they can disable that. And then we do have some other connections to see what is being done professionally and the actual intelligence side. I can check on that for you as well. But it's something we have to talk about a little bit offline, Josh. So what I'll do is I'm gonna grab your number, and actually you're on Telegram, right? So
I'll pass you his.
If you can, just text. Actually, you know what? I'm Tank96, TANK, all caps, 96. That's me on Telegram. Just hit me up on Telegram, and we can make some arrangements and see what we can get done to assist you guys. But yeah, man, we'll definitely, I'm all about, supporting, taking out their ability to mind control us in any way, shape, or form. And I'm certainly about it, because usually in these cases you're going to have people that are highly trained individuals who are, for the most part, ethical and kind, and there's nothing worse than to get involved with something because you're being tortured and eventually, we fracture, right?
Yeah, so this is debilitated. And to give you an example, the last guy that had my position at PAX, he was murdered. His Faraday cage was shaking. He was reporting to us on the tech meetings, like a week before he died. And he ended up dying of a brain aneurysm, but they were hitting him in the head with a directed energy weapon. So, but they classified it as a brain aneurysm when he died.
So you're a brave guy.
I will tell you this, Josh. Yeah, Josh, you have a open invitation, first of all, to come on whenever you want. I can't emphasize this enough. I know you obviously, are going to have some kind of background that's heaped in secret information. I cannot emphasize this enough. The safest place for all of your people is as public as possible. Keep no secrets. Share everything. Because the secrets that we keep for them, right, is what they use to kill us. All right, we cannot keep their secrets. So Josh, you're welcome to come on and talk with us anytime you want. I would like to do a full show just emphasizing on whoever you want to speak from your organization. And as we put this information out, they try to suppress our numbers, but they really can't. The message is just too strong. And so we'll gladly, in any way I can, I promise you I'll have my full support to help those guys. And I do have some pretty good connections that I'm sure I can assist you in a lot of ways. But I just have to learn more about it. So hit me up on Telegram, man, when we get off the phone. All right. Nice talking to you, Josh.
Yep. Take care.
All right, bye, Josh. Yeah, I was going through the website.
Stuff, right?
I was going through the website yesterday and watching one of the videos. Actually, I had to switch. We go directly to YouTube because it wouldn't let me play the audio portion. I mean, the video would play, but I couldn't hear the audio on my system, so it was just kind of interesting. So this kind of had this white box covering the audio, so I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, yeah, that was Tom Lee that he was talking about. I was watching his video. I didn't finish watching it, but I told him that he should come on because it's very important to get this kind of information out there. And I'm glad. I'm glad you made it on because this is the same. This kind of highlights, what's been done to us. That there's this, people taking action. Like I said, he's got a team of 20 people that are working towards bringing these technologies out for protection. Right? Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, and I'll tell you, these things are pretty amazing. I had an experience a couple of years ago. There was a character. He had some name. He was one who believes that he became one who knows, right? In the dark guru world, and he started going after and attacking Fisher, and started attacking Dr. WC, and eventually, and he and I had spoken. He made his harmless stuff, but he started saying some really insane, outlandish things, right? And he started talking about he was channeling, the Chinese elder, the grandfather, right? And so he started sharing all of these things, and he started saying how he was directed, and this was the most important thing he ever said. He came out and he called a bunch of people cabal and said that it was now shoot on sight that they were going to be killed, and he named my name in that.
Oh my
and I was
goodness.
furious. I was furious, right? So every day I would come out to Chronicles, and now Chronicles, Intel Dinar Chronicles is a website, and it's back channel with the Pentagon, right? So that's Pentagon controlled information for anybody who doesn't know this, and not the good side of the Pentagon, right? And so what happened was I would come out to Patrick, who runs that website, every day, and I would just say, I would just give my status. I'd say, Tank is still alive, just to let him know, like, if I'm cabal, why aren't they here shooting me on sight? Is what he was saying. But he really went off the deep end, and he definitely shouldn't have gone after Fisher. And Fisher did tell me that he was being controlled by the Voice of God satellite, right? And then suddenly that guy just disappeared, right? No idea where he is now. And he might be alive somewhere, but that's not the impression I got. That he just tuned into that frequency, whatever it was, right? And that's why even in your, meditations and things of that nature, it's important to remember to always anchor everything you're doing here, bring it back home to this body, so to speak, right? And also to, be careful in who you listen to. There's spirits in bodies and out of bodies, right? And sometimes somebody's talking to a metaphysical being of some sort, and they just assume because it's not in the body, they get benevolent, but it's not always, There's a lot of fourth-dimensional beings that are just tricksters, and just causing problems, telling us lies.
Yeah, well, this could also, he could have been channeling through the Voice of God's satellite, right? Someone could have been pumping that into his head.
Oh, yeah, Fisher told me that outright. Fisher was, for anyone who doesn't know, Fisher was, he passed back in July, but Fisher was very, very, he was former CIA, former MI6, he was associated with the secret space program. He had very, very deep connections, and you can find his stuff on the line somewhere, but that man was tireless in his effort and exposed more details and more extended realities in the alternative media than I would dare say almost anyone else, because the things he would talk about were incredible. And he was my mentor. We talked a lot offline, and he taught me a lot of things. And but he was also still on the wrong side of the RV. He thought the RV was good, but he's also the one that told me that the Chinese had been paying the salaries for the United States military, and he gave me all types of other information as well.
Can you talk? Can you talk a little bit more about that one thing? It's always been interesting when I've heard you say it, but I don't know when. Can you give a little more detail on what did it mean that the Chinese were paying the salaries or paying for the U.S. military?
Well, so basically, what happened? Not the Chinese government, the Chinese elders. What they were doing is they signed a contract, right, in the industrial militarized, methodology that they use, right, to produce the military equipment for the United States military. This is why you had a little while ago when the microchips were found, right, that were being monitored by the Chinese in the U.S. battleships, right, which doesn't make any kind of sense. And why would we ever sublet our work for the military? We would never, ever, ever do that, right? It just doesn't make sense. It's just bad business.
Right.
But, so they had this industrial contract to build military equipment, right? So then what they did was, and they got the capital to build that based on a credit they were given by the Bank of China, and I think it's the Bank of China, but I could be wrong. It's one of the banks in China, but I can't remember if that's the right one. And essentially what they did was they took all of that, and they took everything that they had, and then the United States military was being, the whole government, everything, the ownership of the country was being taken over by the Chinese for some time. And the Chinese elders, right? And this is also the United Nations. They've been taking this over. So because the United States corporation had been declared bankrupt back in 2008, essentially what they were doing was they were funding the government. So they made themselves exactly the methodology I keep talking about. They created a problem, and they made themselves look like heroes. So they were charging the rhetoric and the narrative that was being played out for a while in the dinar world, where you had these different gurus come out and say how wise the Chinese elders were, how the Chinese elders were fighting against the cabal, and they were not going to allow the cabal to have control of us ever again. But first they had to shame us, the Americans, the greedy fat Americans, right? All these different things, and as they were shaming us, right? This was the whole narrative they were sharing with us. Now this was set in place back in 1978. 1978 is when they all agreed, right? There was a contract that would come up and it would expire. It would expire in 2012, and this was right in line with the Federal Reserve. And the idea was to transfer power from the West, so the dragon families of the West, to the dragon families of the East. And so they had to create their super villains for their villains for the Western Americans, which they did, right? The Clintons, Bushes, all these different, Nixon messed up the gold standard, all these different villains. And then you have the wise, honorable Chinese, right? They're amazing and they're better than us, they're smarter than us, they're ancient culture, and that was the transfer of power. So controlling the military would be a key component of that entire thing. Now, truth be told, I saw the letter written directly from the Rothschilds, who, this is one of the dragon families, not necessarily the Rothschilds, but in this case it was some of the Rothschilds, who said outright that the military was their slaves. And that's exactly how they saw them. That the military was nothing more to them than slaves. So that happened, and then when they were, the government was appearing to fall apart, which was really part of the plan, right? It wasn't, oh no, what do we do? It was designed to fall apart.
Yeah.
They were paying these salaries.
Well, I want to point out something that is to put some perspective on part of that story. Is that when communism was put into place in China, part of the process was the Great Purge. They killed everyone who was smart. All the engineers and teachers and professors and doctors and lawyers, accountants, anyone that was smart was killed. The only people that were left were the people in the military, the generals that were there, and then the peasants, the farmers. That was it. That harmed China in regards to their whole development, because they had to reteach themselves everything, architecture, science, everything had to be relearned, and that's only happened in the last 30 years. So so if they're like the smart ones out there, they're babies in regards to what they now know. They're just now rediscovering who they are intellectually, and maybe they may even be looking to see, well, maybe they made a mistake, wiping out all of the people.
Well, and they alter the history, right? They alter the history. You choose somebody that you're going to hate, and as long as everybody has someone to hate, and this is why it's important to understand the Iron Mountain Report and what it's saying in this report, because it helps everything else make sense. War is not a result. War is not the result. War is the structure. We live in a war system. In the war system, everything is designed around the strongest countries are those who can wage the most war. That's why the United States has been somewhat of an empire for the past, however long, past 100 years or so, or less than maybe 50 or 60 years. We've been an empire because we've been able to wage the most war, and we've waged war all over the world. And this has been the system that they used to control everyone. So, there's no real deviation from that still at this time, other than they've been trying to go to this socialist system, war with the environment. All those, eventually, I'm sure that they'll be war with disease and war with, aliens. That's the system they're trying to create. And to do that, you have to blame the people. So shame is a constant method used. It's designed to make us feel ashamed for consuming too much, ashamed to be a man, ashamed to be, white, ashamed to be black, ashamed to be, a Christian, a Catholic. Now they want you to be this androgynous being that's easiest to control, right? Because you've already given up the natural aspects of yourself, right? That you don't even identify with your own sexual orientation, right? You don't even identify as a man or a woman. You're just an in between. Those are the kind of things that the very basic essentials of what humanity is what they're trying to take from us.
Yeah. Well.
All right. I think.
Yes, go ahead. No, I was just. I'm just kind of looking. I'm going to speak projectspeak.net and looking up the Iron Mountain report.
Yeah. So this is when you read through this document, there's I'm going to read you this just because I think this is an important piece, right? So some essential element has clearly been lacking in all these schemes. One of our first tasks, this is talking about this group of experts who were there for the Iron Mountain report, was to try to bring this missing quality into definable focus, and we believe we have succeeded in doing so. We find that the heart of every peace study we have examined, from the modest technological proposal to convert a poison gas plant to the production of socially useful equivalents, to the most elaborate scenario for universal peace in and out of time, lies one common fundamental misconception. It is the source of the miasma of unreality surrounding such plans. It is the incorrect assumption that war, as an institution, is subordinate to the social system it is believed to serve. This misconception, although profound and far-reaching, is entirely comprehensible. Few social cliches are so unquestionably accepted as the notion that war is an extension of diplomacy, or of politics, or the pursuit of economic objectives. If this were true, it would be wholly appropriate for economists and political theorists to look on the problem of transition to peace as essentially mechanical or procedural, as indeed they do, treating them as logistics corollaries of the settlement of national conflicts of interest. If this were true, there would be no real substance to the difficulties of transition. For it is evident that even in today's world, there exists no conceivable conflict of interest that cannot be resolved without resources to war, if such resolution were assigned a priority of social value. And if this were true, the economic analysis and disarmament proposal we have referred to, which this whole thing is about disarmament, would be plausible and well conceived as that may be, would not inspire us into an inescapable sense of the direction. So this whole thing that goes on to talk is talking about how war is the actual war itself is the basic social system within which other secondary modes of social organization conflict or conspire. It is the system which has governed most human societies of record as it is today. So that is the construct, is that war is the method. So how do you create constant war? You constantly focus on the things that
if you end up reading from, I have it up on screen right now, but if you read from a page, just tell me what page number, and then I can actually scroll to it.
Well, that was page 28. That's where I started reading there. It starts at the bottom.
I got it. Section 3. Disharmony scenarios.
Now, it's a very wordy report because their language is very high level. So in a more efficient military style report, a lot of that would be cut out. So it's not done in like a sit rep fashion. So, I could probably break that up so it's a little more clear to people. But yeah, maybe I will do that actually. Just gotta break it up.
Yeah.
But yep. So that's where we're at, and you know what? I think we've got. Let's see, there's a countdown, right? So we've got just about 9 minutes left. Dan,
Yes.
what do you think? What else on your mind before we go? Just kind of final notes to close this down.
All right. Well, it's amazing that we're in this place where we're already see that there's a big things happening in the world with Trump, to literally take back sovereignty. It's his own words. He's taking back the signature that Obama gave to turn over the sovereignty. Now, this was about arms, but that's the way we protect ourselves. And their plan was to basically have, the problem that occurred, the event that caused the calamity, of the crash of the world was the GCR. And then when we were all, dealing with the super inflation and we need $1 trillion to buy a loaf of bread, and the economy collapses, they want to come in and blame us and all of the problems. They're going to come in with the UN. And the first step would be take away the guns. And this gave the UN the ability to grab our guns in this state of emergency. And then after the guns are gone, then they get rid of the Constitution, get rid of the country, break up the United States into five regions, and everyone already had their region staked out on who was going to be the emperor of that little area. So this is now over. They're not going to be able to do it. But as they don't have any real direction anymore, they're continuing Marduk's plan. Right, the great dictator. They're going to continue the plan because they don't know what else to do. One point about, anytime when you look at big government, my old harping points was about things in the government is that the government creates nothing. All they do is when the industry is out there creating new industries and creating wealth, the government comes in and claims that they're now going to regulate, and then that they now then own that industry, and then they will sit back and feed off of what was created by others. It's just a parasite. And this is our turn right now to redefine how the whole world is governed. But it doesn't mean to have one world government. But it does mean that we can treat ourselves differently and act out of sovereignty and not out of slavery. We must change our mindset. We must make an effort to think different. Thank you, Thomas. and be sure to pass this information on and get people to watch this broadcast, and even though it's long. You can even break down little segments like we did with the Trump speech. That's an hour speech. We took 5 minutes out of it, right? And that's and you can do that with what we're talking about. Find something that is of interest to other people that you can take and say, "Hey, listen to this 5 minutes of this show. This broadcast will help you get the information out there." Okay. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, muted. Excellent. Thank you so much. So, everybody, just to reiterate the things that my co-host here has just said, I thought was very well said, is we
are in a time to write a new history of the future. We get to define what the world will become. All of that starts with us realizing and uniting around the very things they're using to divide us with. So the very aspects that make us so diverse, that make us so creatively different and loving and kind and beautiful and amazing in all these different unique ways, all of this diversity are qualities that we should stand up and be willing to take a stand for each other, so that you have the right to be you and I have the right to be me. And with that in mind, we can go out and change the world, and all the things they're trying to use against us become powerless, because they cannot suppress us, they cannot suppress the message, they cannot suppress that kind of energy when everything they throw at us becomes useless. We can tune into a higher frequency, unite around common goals, and I always think it's important to go to gocamelot.com, get involved, join up, become a member, because we want to create an organized effort of the people where we stand together and we all agree. We all want clean air, we all want healthy food, we all want water without poison in it, and the one thing we all need is each other. So food, water, air, and each other, these are elements regardless of your race, creed, sex, nationality, or color that we can all agree on. So please come together, share the message, and everybody keep in mind that what is happening in this moment in history is profound. Don't take it lightly. This is our chance, and we cannot back down. No retreat, no surrender.
Okay. Blog Talk is now done. So I'm going to go over a few more things here, since we're still here on the YouTube broadcast. So thank you all. Actually, might be good to go through the questions that are there. I also, there are some more points that I could make on there. If anyone would like to join in, I'll send out the link here in the chat room, and you can, have a say from this side of things. Oh, nope, that's the wrong. But that's actually for the Iron Mountain report I just posted. So go ahead, and you need to get the Iron Mountain report. I just posted it in the link. So let me go. I'll grab the link again from Hangouts, and then we can. It's like my system has now ground to a halt. It sometimes happens. Get too many things going, and the system wants to act really slow. Yeah, I got it. Okay, there's Hangouts. So please, please jump on. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to cover, I kind of got a little off track when I first brought this up in the beginning of the broadcast, Trump's speech. He brought on several individuals, and what happened to them in a real life situation where they had to go get their gun. And because they had their gun, they saved lives. One of the guys had said that he was at work, and there was someone with a knife that was literally killing people and going around, and it caused a lot of commotion. He ran 100 yards out the building to his car, got his gun, came back in, and then when he got into where the person was, they were literally stabbing someone, stabbing a woman. He called out at that person that had the gun. Had the knife, and he told him, and warned him, and told him to stop. And he fired 3 shots and put him down. Stopped it right then and there. Interesting that what would have happened if he had his gun on him. one of the things is when you have a gun and everybody is armed, very unlikely that anyone's going to come at you, right? Someone picks up a knife. What are you going to do? Get a knife? Okay. But you have a gun that's going to stop anyone at that point from actually taking any of these crazy actions that are happening. So there was also a woman on that he also brought up that was going to be raped. She was accosted. She pulled out the gun and shot him. It's for our own personal protection. It helps women who don't have the strength of a man defeat a man. Puts it on an equal basis at that point. No matter how well you're trained as in martial arts or anything, or any other kind of weaponry. I always go flashback to Indiana Jones, right? Remember the guy with the sword, and he was going, and Indiana Jones was using his whip. He just took out his gun and shot him. It's a great equalizer. They use all sorts of psyops to project out at us that guns are bad, so that we willingly give them up. This is something that everyone should realize, that this is our right to defend ourselves. The original part of this in the Constitution is the right to bear arms. Has nothing to do with hunting, and it has to do with protection, but specifically against the government. The Second Amendment is to protect the citizens from the government. That's the purpose of it. Because the government can decide that they're going to wield power over the people and make them into debt slaves. And then after that, force them into removing their gender, and then going against their religion, and force them to do everything. To the point that they're coming in at you with guns because you are a raw foodie and you only want raw food. And they're going to bust in with a SWAT team. This has happened. My former assistant was a raw foodie, or is a raw foodie. Sorry. And the place where she would go and everyone else would gather to buy their goods in exchange, right, for the things that they wanted with their free will. A SWAT team came in. What is even the reason they need guns? They're coming in with such heavy hands. They'll say, well, the people might be armed. And the reason, if you get rid of your arms, we don't have to come in with a heavy boot and put it on your throat. Sorry, no. That is not a good argument. You're acting improperly from the first point. You shouldn't be trying to take over our free will. So, anyway, we've been covering quite a lot. I guess Youtbe might be a little occupied today. It is a weekend, so maybe he's not able to join in with us. I did put out the link to him, anyway, we've already been on for 2.5 hours. I put out the link, so if anyone wanted to jump on Hangouts, but no one has jumped on. So I think we're safe to go ahead and end the broadcast for today. And I appreciate everyone for your support and joining. I have been also adding I added a new video on the Kringle Society, and I've had one person decide to join and joined yesterday. So thank you for joining. I'd love to talk with you about it and how this is a medium of exchange that happens where we actually have TBC stores that are popping up, and they're literally, this is more in Africa because the biggest populations are in Africa. Nigeria has 1.5 million members of Kringle Coin. And that is amazing. And they have trade fairs, and they have groups of people come together to exchange using TPC. So the bigger the population in any area means you have a medium of exchange, which is basically has a set price based on the number of members and the gold. So anyway, please watch that video. It'll actually appear at the end of this video in the upper corner. I would be able to click on it. It should appear that way. That is. I've just started using that feature, so hopefully that's working. Just let me know if it is working. That might be a good thing. Again, all the information is down below about how to contact me, and also Go Camelot, and how to set up your trust is there. And we'll be back tomorrow and talking more about everything that's been going on. We're having a fantastic time. It's a great time to see what's been going on. Get involved. Participate. And someone is coming on. See? It always happens. Hello, Susan. Oh, and she's gone. Well, she got shy in the last minutes, or the link is bad. We'll wait a few minutes in case she's going to pop back on. If you have a question, you're welcome to come on. But I want to keep it open for people to you have any questions, so that people can at least engage. Your question you may think is not important. It is, because there's other people out there that have the same question as you. And there's no such thing as a dumb question. All you can do is it's only dumb not to ask. So all you can do is ask the question, and then let's see if we can get an answer. And if we're not, we'll try and figure it out as we go. So I guess Susan has gone. It might have been a mistake. She might have clicked on it by mistake. All right, then. So until